Imagine a world where cleverness and wisdom are more powerful than brute strength. In a land where stories and legends are passed down through generations, there exists one figure who outwits even the gods themselves. A creature so clever yet so humble that his name has become synonymous with trickery, wisdom, and fate. This is the legend of Anansi the Spider. But be warned, for not all tricks come without a price. Let's dive into his world. In the heart of West Africa, there was a land full of rich forests, wide river, and vast plains. But in this land, no creature was as famous or as infamous as Anansi the Spider. Known for his wit and cleverness, Anansi wasn't the strongest creature in the forest, but he always found a way to get what he wanted. The story begins in a small village nestled deep in the heart of the African jungle. The people of the village lived in harmony with nature, but they were always struggling to gather enough food and resources. They would toil day in and day out, hoping for a good harvest, but their efforts always seemed to fall short. The sun would rise and set, yet hunger never seemed to leave their doorsteps. One day, the villagers heard an unusual rumble from the heavens above. It was the voice of Neheme, the sky god, echoing down from the clouds. People of the earth, Neheme declared, his voice booming like thunder, I will grant you the secret to endless food, prosperity, and peace. But there is a condition. You must first prove your worth by solving a puzzle. If you succeed, you shall have all that you desire. But if you fail, you will lose everything. The villagers were both excited and frightened. How could they possibly meet the challenge of the mighty sky god? They were simple folk after all. They needed someone wise, someone who could think quickly, someone who could outwit the gods themselves. Enter Anansi the Spider. When Anansi heard the challenge, he knew this was his moment. He was not a strong creature, but his mind was sharp as a thorn, and his skills of persuasion were unmatched. Anansi knew that if anyone could win this challenge, it was him. He approached the village elders with a sly grin on his face. I will solve this puzzle and bring prosperity to the village, Anansi said confidently. But there is one condition. I want to be the one to decide the prize, for I am the wisest of all creatures. The elders, desperate for food and resources, agreed to Anansi's terms. They had no other choice. With the promise of great reward, Anansi set off to meet the sky god. When he reached the heavenly realm, Anansi was confronted by Niame. The mighty god appeared as a figure of light, his eyes filled with thunder and lightning. He looked at the small spider, intrigued by his boldness. Anansi, you have come for the challenge, Niame said, his voice a mix of power and curiosity. You must answer me these 3 riddles. If you answer them correctly, you shall have your reward, but fail, and you will lose everything you hold dear. Anansi stood tall, his 8 legs poised. I am ready, sky god. Ask your riddles. The first riddle was simple. What is greater than the greatest mountain, but smaller than the smallest insect? Anansi smiled. He knew the answer. It is the mind, for it can contain all things, yet it is small in size. Nyame was impressed, but he quickly posed the second riddle. What is always moving, yet never goes anywhere? Without hesitation, Anansi answered, It is time, for it passes by, but it does not travel. Nyame's eyes narrowed. The spider was clever, but there was one final challenge. The third and final riddle was the most difficult. Nyame spoke slowly, his voice deep and powerful. What can you give, but never hold? What can you hold, but never give? Anansi thought for a moment. He closed his eyes, listening to the winds that whispered through the heavens. He felt a sense of peace, and then, with a smile, he answered, It is a promise, sky god. You can give a promise, but never physically hold it. And once a promise is given, it cannot be taken back. Nyame stared at Anansi, his gaze filled with admiration. The sky god had never encountered such a quick-witted creature. The spider had not only answered the riddles, but he had also outsmarted the gods themselves. You have won, Anansi, Nyame said. You have earned the knowledge and power you seek. Take your reward. Anansi, with a grin, accepted the gift, the secret to endless food and prosperity. But instead of keeping it for himself, Anansi returned to the village and shared it with the people, ensuring their survival for generations to come. However, there was one thing Anansi had not told them. The secret came with a cost. For every answer he had given, for every puzzle he had solved, the gods had taken a small piece of his soul. With each trick, Anansi's power grew, but so did the emptiness inside him. And so, as time passed, the villagers flourished. But Anansi the Spider became more and more distant from the world he had saved. His cleverness had earned him everything, but it had also taken something precious from him. The legend of Anansi teaches us that while wit and cleverness can take us far, they come with a price. And sometimes the greatest prize is not always worth the cost.